Hey, I'm Dan, and this is Dan's Planes. This is my The World Models Zero I purchased at Joe Knoll. Let's see, that was spring of this year, 2024. So, wings are over here. They are 80 inches. Specs are in the description. And the retract servos are HS-635HB. Not sure what the aileron servos or the flap servos are. I'm not sure what prop yet. It's got a Zenoah G38 servos in the fuselage are let's see, HS-300BB for the throttle and HS-635HB for the elevator. However, that goes down here as a pull down to a bell crank. Don't know if the light can get over there to a bell crank here for the elevator, which was to reduce differential and throw. However, a friend of mine said he had one and two other people in his club had one. All three of them failed in the elevator, causing crashes. So he recommended getting rid of that bell crank and putting in a couple servos there. So I think I'm going to put in HS-635. I don't know if I got ball bearing or metal gear. So see what I got. Put that on. Rudder is also pull. I guess you'd have to undo this tray here to get to the pull rudder servo, so I don't know what that is. It's got a Spektrum 8010T in it. So first order of business is removing the bell crank system. That's going to be new to me. Looks like there are two screws to remove there. There's a set screw to remove there. Of course, remove the clevis. So once I do that, then I'm going to have to cut out the servo holes. Then I'm going to have to glue in some plywood for the servo screws, mounting screws to go into, and then reconnect the clevis. And I'm gonna have to see how the radio is hooked up to see if I've got another channel for the two ailerons. I'm sorry, two elevators to go into, because if I'm thinking right, yeah, one will need to be reversed so that they both move in the same direction. So I either need a Y cable with a servo reverser, or I need an extra channel in the transmitter. And let's see, we've got throttle, rudder, elevator, two flaps, I had to pull this tray out because these servo wires are zip tied to this support and this support that's underneath. So it gives me a chance to see that the rudder is a HS-635HB. So at least I know what that is. I can inspect the joints and everything around here, make sure everything's okay. I can see inside the tank. So gave me a chance to do that. Okay, so I finished both sides, servos for the elevator. I screwed the screws in, unscrewed them, put CA in there for the wood, and then screwed them back in there. Had some trouble with the wood backing that I was trying to adhere to the fiberglass so I could put in the retention screws. The epoxy kept wanting to slide off the fiberglass. I mean, I had roughened it and cleaned it, and it took 3 attempts on one side and 2 attempts on another side. Finally got that working. And then here, darn it, this seam in the center was split and loose, so I put some I forget what it is, what type of adhesive it is, but it's a replacement for Hysol that I've used in the past. I've mixed that up and put it on my finger and went inside and tried to rub it around best I could, and it's better now. It's not completely there, but it's better. So then I wanted to take the cowl off because number one, the muffler is loose, and number two, I wanted to see where the choke is, if there's a choke on this thing. I also wanted to see how the throttle was put together. The throttle uses a bell crank system. I'm not happy with bell cranks, but if it does the job, we'll keep it. So I had to get this cowling off, and I can see why he never put the new cowling on, because man, trying to get in and get the lock nuts off of the screws that are holding the cowling on, it is a pain trying to get some pliers in there to hold on to those nuts. So I got it off, but it is going to be excruciating to put this back on, trying to hold the nut just at the right spot here with pliers through the cowling as I'm trying to put the screw in. Do that 4 times. That's going to suck. This, my kill switch, I'm going to replace with an electronic switch. So, as I mentioned earlier, might want to do new cowling, but then I might not. And this one's definitely been through its paces, which is fine for a warbird. But making a new one fit up to everything is always a joy. So, the way I'm looking at this, hold on a second. Hold, please. So, the way I'm looking at this, which is what I was afraid of, you cannot get to the muffler bolts. So, I'm going to have to take the engine off. And then I believe to stop the muffler from moving, I'm going to probably put some red gasket sealant in here. And I forget how that goes. I've read about it a couple times. I think you put the sealant on, you tighten it down, but then you back it off and let it cure, and then you tighten it down for a final time. I think I'm going to have to consult my sources on that one again, but that sucks. The muffler is just moving. Come on. Just moving this much. See if you can see it. Well, you can hear it. So, I think that's the next adventure. Pulling off the engine, which means disconnecting the fuel line, disconnecting the bell crank, and then the engine. That must be overflow. I talked to Scott Swirls about the engine, and he said the early Zenoahs would not have a choke on it. You just are expected to put your thumb over it and turn the prop to get the initial gas in there. Then as far as the muffler being a little bit loose, of course they loosen up over time. Not only was the muffler loose, but the bolts mounting the engine on were pretty loose, and they didn't have any blue Loctite on them. They were just screwed in there. So I think the plane was just put together and ran, and then it just wasn't retightened up. So he said to get some high temperature red gasket maker and follow the instructions to put it around the edges here, but he said first sand it with 80 grit sandpaper, although you could do 60 or 100, that's fine. So I did about 100. Made this real nice and smooth. I'm gonna wipe it off with some acetone just to clean it. And the instructions for the gasket stuff say put a 1/16 to a 1/4 inch bead of silicone to one surface surrounding all bolt holes. Assemble parts immediately when silicone is still wet. Finger tighten until material begins to squeeze out around flange. Let it dry for an hour, then tighten to torque specifications. Allow 90 minutes before filling with fluids or returning to service. So I'm just going to put a bead around each bolt hole and then a bead around the muffler itself. It's going to mate up to here, so probably this is the smaller surface, so I think I'll put the bead around here and then let it squeeze out to this larger surface. So he said before I sand to put in a little piece of tissue in there just to block anything. Also to move the cylinder so it was top dead center, just to again prevent stuff from getting in there. So time to put the gasket maker on there and finger tighten it until it squeezes. Today is engine run day. It's going to rain the next 2 days, so today is actually a little cooler. It's like 75 instead of 95, so it's actually pretty nice out here. This plane had a Dubro quick fill on it, which requires a special quick fill nipple, which I bought for my sundowner, but I've currently misplaced it. And this is my gas setup, which I just have a standard fill nipple like this, and I don't want to have one plane where I have to disconnect this with the wire and pulling it out of hard tubing and all that. So I went ahead and removed that quick fill, and I've heard that they tend to wear out too, so I'm going to replace that with a standard port here with a plug. But just for today I was able to get fuel in here. I barely had enough fuel to get enough in the tank to try this, but now I'm using 30 to 1 because that's what I used in my Zenoah G62. So figure G38 would be the same, but I should probably read the manual. I tried calling Aero Scott, but he must have been busy because he didn't pick up. So I might give him a quick call right before I do this, but other than that, it's all systems go and ready to turn this over with an electric starter. From what I understand, magneto engines are hard to hand turn because you have to do it so quickly. Hey, there's something in the woods. Oh, it's a couple squirrels. Well, hello, couple squirrels. All right. Okay, the first attempt failed, and just because I was checking things over, I gave the spark plug a wiggle, and the thing wasn't even screwed in to hand tight. It was just completely loose. So took care of that. Now we'll try to do it again. Okay, great news, the engine's running. Bad news, I went to use my tack and my battery is dead, so I have to come up with a spare battery or a different tack that takes different batteries. So I'm not sure where I am on my low and high RPMs. I'd like to get that figured out. And the next step is to remove this guy, the mechanical switch, kill switch, and replace it with the electronic one. So try to whip that out tonight. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Dan from Dan's Planes. I just want to share some content about RC planes, something I've been passionate about since childhood. I'm hoping I can teach something to someone, I can start some discussion and learn some things from others. So let's just have some fun and learn some things together. If you enjoyed what you watched, it would really help me out if you could like, subscribe, and share. And if you feel that it helped you out in some way, or it might help future viewers, I'd really appreciate it if you'd visit my Patreon page and become a patron. It's like throwing a $1 tip into a guitar case when you pass by. It helps to fund future content and future projects that I'll be working on. I plan to show some past content. I have some other flights and I have some fly-in events that I've been to. And I also plan to show future flights and future repairs, as well as building ARFs, and if I can ever get back to it, building my top flight Spitfire. So there's a lot of content to come, but it's viewers like you that are able to support what I'm doing, and by doing that, I'm able to spend more time creating that content in the future. So I'd really appreciate it. But either way, thanks for watching, and thanks for any support, and I wish you blue skies and good speed.